Thank you. You're in the locker room on Smooth 98.1. It's Tega and Zibby with you this morning, 16 minutes past 8 a.m. Good morning, Tega.
As usual, I forgot my microphone was mute. Good morning, everybody. Thank God it's Friday.
Yay! I absolutely love Fridays.
Okay, before I go any further, I've seen a few e-wallet numbers. So those people are going to do La La Le Friday. If you haven't sent your e-wallet numbers and you've won on the locker room, I don't know what else to do. So we're waiting for your e-wallet number so that we can send you your money for winning. But those that have sent their numbers, today is the day. We're going to have fun. All right, before we do that, what's happening in the world of sports? Okay, there is the Australian Open to talk about. The women's semi-finals was yesterday, so we'll touch a little bit on that. There's the African Cup of Nations to talk about. Ivory Coast is looking for coach. In case you're looking for jobs to apply for. You can apply. So from now to the 11th of February, you can apply. All right, so we'll talk about the African Cup of Nations and touch a little bit on the FA Cup. But before we do all of that, Zibby, tell us, how can we be a part of the locker room this morning?
All right, we're streaming live on our YouTube, so you can catch the live stream on there and post a comment. You can also tweet at Smooth981. The hashtag is LockerRoom981. Or better still, just send us a message on WhatsApp, 0809 440 981.
All right. Also, we'll take the headlines first, and then we'll go to the very first story.
Okay. Sabalenka Zheng march into Australian Open final showdown. AFCON 2023, Cameroon's game with Super Eagles will be our easiest, and this is according to Odegbami. AFCON hosts Ivory Coast fail in bid to appoint Renard as coach. Williams brothers fire Athletic past Barca into Copa semis. Inter playing catch-up for a change when they face Fiorentina. Man City's Haaland to miss Spurs game, but close to return. Club wants nothing to do with Liverpool quadruple talk. Harder to win in England than anywhere else, says Villa boss Emery. UEFA chief of football Boban quits over Raw with Ceferin.
No, every time you see these things, how people that were activists become dictators. You think it's as an isolated few, but everybody likes power, whether the person is African or European. And so we may touch on this eventually if we do get there. But yeah, Ceferin is trying to change the laws so that he can stay in the office as UEFA president for longer, and that's why Boban is quitting. So he's served 3 terms already. But according to the UEFA laws, you cannot serve more than 3 terms of 4 years, or you cannot serve more than 12 years. It turns out that Ceferin has decided that he wants to die there. So we may touch on that if we do get into that. But yeah, these things happen everywhere in the world. They always make it look like it's an African problem,
exactly.
But it's a global problem. All right. But first of all, before we do that, let's start with what's happening at Australia, and then we'll come back down to UEFA.
All right, defending champion Aryna Sabalenka will clash with Chinese 12 seed Zheng Qinwen in the Australian Open final after both women powered to straight set victories in the last 4 yesterday.
I think that was the biggest surprise, straight set victory. So far, Aryna Sabalenka hasn't dropped a set in her way all to the final. So she's been brilliant, but yes, of course, she was tested yesterday. And the reason she was tested yesterday was because she played Coco Gauff. Now, Coco Gauff leads their head-to-head. So Coco Gauff does know how to beat Sabalenka normally. And she also defeated her at the US Open to win her first Grand Slam title. So she's not a foreigner to Sabalenka. However, Coco Gauff has been struggling a little bit with her serves, and her game starts from her serves. If she gets a first serve in, or she's most likely going to win the point, but she struggles these days with herself, and she even had to hire Andy Roddick, to help her with her service motions, but it's not consistent. When it goes in, it's very good, but when it doesn't, it's horrible. And so she served up a lot of double faults yesterday. Sabalenka got good looks into a lot of second serves. Bottom line, it's not that Sabalenka didn't play brilliantly. I don't want to say that this was a result of just Coco being poor on the day, but Sabalenka played brilliantly. However, Coco also struggled with her serves on the day, and I think that's one of the problems she needs to do. She actually broke Sabalenka and served for the first set, and then had ended up losing it in a tiebreaker. And the second set she got broken early, and she just couldn't break Sabalenka's serve. So she had it rough towards the end, and of course she was a little disappointed in her performance on the day, not in the results overall of the Australian Open, because it was brilliant to get to the semi-finals. But in her performance on the day, of course, she questioned a lot of things. Which brings me back to what happened at the US Open. So I do remember towards the end of last season, she had a coach, Pereriba, on her team. And she started winning. You know, he gave her that X factor that got her to a lot of trophies. Her first ATP, her first WTA 500, her first WTA 1000, then eventually her first WTA Grand Slams. Now, after she won the US Open, everybody was talking about, oh, how Brad Gilbert is so great for her, how Brad Gilbert is so great for her. And don't get me wrong, Brad Gilbert was on her team for the US Open, but he wasn't the guy that made the changes that made her a champion.
Right.
And I think maybe that got to him, because next thing we heard at the end of last season was that Coach Perez was now going to be coaching Zheng, who is the second person in this final.
Wow.
Yeah, we just saw the announcement from nowhere, and everybody was like, what happened to Coco Gauff? You just left her team. And so I think all that lack of recognition and acknowledgement, he just decided that he's going to go back to Zheng, coaching Zheng. Well, guess what? He has now taken her to a final, because she defeated Yastremska yesterday in straight sets, and she's had a brilliant Australian Open to get her to this final. She defeated her in straight sets to get to the final. I'm just saying, sometimes you need to give people their flowers or they will leave. It's that simple. And now Coco Gauff is out, and she's on her way home, and Coach Pereriba is in the final, playing Sabalenka on Saturday. So interesting one in the women's. So today is the men's semi-final. So Novak Djokovic, Yannick Sinner, Medvedev, Alcaraz. Medvedev, Zverev, Tega. It's not Alcaraz. Alcaraz is making.
Because we know you love Alcaraz, yes.
Yeah, but yeah. But Zverev is actually one of my favorite players. It's just that he has a lot of off-court issues. Apparently, he tends to beat people off-court and on-court too. So the love has died just a little bit. But yeah, today Sasha Zverev taking on Medvedev, the great rival. So we'll see how it turns out for them. I expect Novak Djokovic to be in the final. My question is, who is he playing?
All right. It's time to talk AFCON. As the Super Eagles continue to jerk and stutter in the African Cup of Nations, the last 16 pairing between the indomitable Lions of Cameroon and Nigeria is raising palpable fears and concerns from both countries' fans.
It would be different. I tell people all the time, it doesn't matter how abysmal Ghana or Cameroon are. Once they see Nigeria like this, Optimus Prime, you just see them
back to life.
And so it's amazing. So Vincent Abubakar, he's the central striker for Cameroon. He's been injured. In fact, they actually said at some point that, you know what, he's not going to even feature in this tournament at all. Well, enter Cameroon qualifying for the semi-finals and playing against Nigeria, and suddenly he's fit to play against Nigeria on Saturday. Wonderful. Suddenly
it's a miracle.
It's a miracle healing. So it's all those things that you see that, you know, there's extra motivation for them to just play against Nigeria. And it's one of the reasons I don't like talking about Nigeria, Ghana, Nigeria, Cameroon pairing. Cameroon has been abysmal. But once it comes to Nigeria, they will get a result somehow. They will physically beat you and then beat you on the scoreline. Somehow they'll find a way, and that's why I'm afraid. So for Segun Adewami, who played Cameroon, who is a former winner of this African Cup of Nations for Nigeria, to say that will be our easiest game. I don't know if I agree with him, all right? So let's also hear from you. Do you agree with Segun Odegbami that Nigeria's game against Cameroon will be easiest, and why do you think so? The numbers to call are
014489 That is the number. I'll say again, 014489
All right. So you're telling me, do you agree with Segun Odegbami that Saturday's match against Cameroon will be Nigeria's easiest match? That's all we want to hear from you. Your opinion. Do you agree with him, and why do you think that should be?
All right. Tega, you've got some messages coming through, and Sammy from Ikeja says, Tega, Novak Djokovic is out. Same Mike from Ojo as well.
Oh, so, you see, that was happening just now, right?
Yep.
Oh, yes.
About 7 or 11 minutes ago.
Yes. Oh, my goodness. He didn't fight back. Oh, no. This is shocking. This is good. This is good. This is very, very good. I know. I don't hide my bias.
We can tell. Okay, we've got a message coming through. Tega, can they also send WhatsApp messages in response to what Segun Odegbami has said?
Oh, yes, you can send WhatsApp messages for those that are already in their offices, but you can make phone calls if you can.
Yes, so to send the WhatsApp messages, the number is 0809 4440981, or you can call 014489 AY from Oniru says Nigeria versus Cameroon. That's the African El Clasico. It will always be a blockbuster. Oh, I'm worried for the Super Eagles, though. I'm really worried for the Super Eagles. Okay, let's go on YouTube. We have a few comments coming through. LK Aderoba says, I don't agree with him. Cameroon is always tricky for Nigeria. Whether by hook or crook, they always see a way to nick it. They stole 2 Nations Cups from Nigerians. I can never forgive them. Okay. Emeka Onelum says, regarding Cameroon, let's calm down. The same Abubakar played against us in the 2019 AFCON and we still defeated them. The last couple of AFCONs did play them in 2004 and 2019. We beat them 2-1 and 3-2 respectively. The last time Cameroon defeated us was in a friendly in 2021, which was 1-0. We will beat them. Tayo says, what I find interesting is that our president, through his able sports minister, said he's not impressed with the Eagles' performance. Let me stop there and not point out any irony. Cameroonians are playing that Uzoho starts for us, while Nigerians are praying for Nana to start for them. My question is, who's serving the living God? Padre Pio says, I'm not sure what Segun Odegbami means. Easiest match. Let's pray they use Onana as a goalie. Then we have a chance. That is true. Metro Central says, I'm so happy Novak is out. Ogundipe Oluwasegun says, Nigeria will win. Yay. I'm wearing green to support Nigeria. But then there's also
Saturday, all green. We are all going. We are going all green. We have to win. We have to win. All right. We don't have enough time. So we may have to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll be touching on the rest of the African Cup of Nations, taking your messages, and of course celebrating that Yannick Sinner defeated Novak Djokovic. Yes. Oh, I'm such an Agbaya. I actually thought he was going to come back.
I thought you liked Novak. Or is it a love-hate relationship?
I have no single love for Novak. Not one. I call him a despicable. So he's the kind of so when he starts losing, I told you now, he'll start stretching as if something is paining him. You on the other side, you now get distracted.
Then he'll now come.
Yes, he does it like clockwork. So he has that. And remember, he also held a tournament. And people were telling him that he held a tournament during COVID and he was like, he was anti-vaccination.
The anti-vaxxer.
He now spread COVID he helped to spread COVID in Serbia. But because he's close friends, I think, to the minister and to the president, has then he had no consequences. But players that even attended his stuff, like Gregor Dimitrov, for 6 months, he couldn't play tennis.
Wow.
Yeah, because it affected his own lungs. And Novak Djokovic was playing and winning. In fact, the statement he gave had no apology inside. It was just
He is a
And
dickhead, though, to be honest.
he's a dick. He's a dick. And then you can imagine, I can imagine how the Australians will be happy because they're playing a match,
Yeah.
and you know how it is. They will pick a side.
Oh, Tega, we have 8 seconds.
Oh yeah.
It's still the locker room on Smooth 98.1. It's Tega and Zibby. More AFCON conversations and more sport as well. To be a part of the conversation, WhatsApp number 0809 440 981. And of course, you can also tweet at Smooth 981. Tega.
So while we're still basking in the euphoria of Novak Djokovic, who was no, let me tell you why I really got upset this year. Because he was at the tournament, and you know how it is, people will pick their favorites. And as usual, they chose a favorite, and Novak Djokovic started, making fun of them. He said, so you're not supporting me, I'm going to use you to laugh today. So I can imagine that the Australian fans today will be laughing their heads off at him. I hope he cries during the press conference. Of course, he will not. He has a lot of Grand Slams. But yeah, so one of the reasons I wanted him out is that jerk behavior was poor. But congratulations to Yannick Sinner again for a good job. Wow. Yannick Sinner may just win his first Grand Slam, because I actually did think that the winner of the Australian Open was going to be from that side of the draw. So let me just stick with my prediction that the winner is going to come from that side. All right. So let's go to the next story. What are we talking about now? Ivory Coast and job hunting. Yes, vacancy. Please get your CVs ready.
African Cup of Nations host Ivory Coast have failed in a remarkable beat to appoint Hervé Renard as coach for the remainder of the tournament after the French Football Federation refused to release him. They said, "You don't go to Africa, stay here."
Well, he was already in Africa. Apparently, he's at the African Cup of Nations watching.
Oh, wow.
Yes, he's already at the African Cup of Nations. So when I heard yesterday that Ivory Coast was going to talk to the French Federation to loan him to them to at least the end of the month, I thought this would be easy because he's already here. All he needs to do is get on a bus. But apparently they don't. I think the women's team have the Olympic qualifier. That's it. Some European qualifiers, but they're not. It's not like he needs to be there. He's going to be at the African Cup of Nations. So I think it would have been easy, but of course, there'd be all that contractual obligations and all of that. But I can't believe Cote d'Ivoire wanted to cheat their way to the final. Because think about it. Cote d'Ivoire had only 3 points. And then we had to wait, I think, 4 days for them to be sure that they were going to make it through to the next round. And all of a sudden, they want to get the best coach in Africa. He has won the tournament twice with 2 different nations. They thought they were going to be the 3rd nation. Wow. How dare you?
Well, but they were literally so random and strange.
Yeah, they were literally on their way out. And then I don't blame them. I blame Zambia that they refused to get away with a draw. And so if Zambia would have scored a goal, Cote d'Ivoire would be crying in their homes. But Zambia didn't. They lost their final match, and Ivorians came out into the streets to celebrate their coming in to the next round by the skin of their teeth, and they wanted to get Hervé Renard. Are you kidding me?
Wow.
These people, it's like you came last in your class, but you want your parents to buy you the best present. Are you kidding me? But yeah, that's going to be a tough one. They've come to the round of 16, but they're facing Senegal. And talk about the best team in Africa.
Wow.
So you're just giving your best display, especially in a tournament that you are host country of, and then you face the best country in Africa right now. So it's a tough task, and I understand why they wanted to get Hervé Renard, but no, nothing for you, Lagbaja.
Okay, let's look at some of the messages coming through. Josh says, I disagree with Uncle Odegbami because so far we've not played anything convincing. We lacked urgency and finishing, and we were a little shaky at the back. Cameroon, on the other hand, has played under all forms of pressure in this AFCON. They are not that good, but they know what pressure means. Another message from Taiwo from Ojo. Or is that Alaba? Okay, Taiwo says, I do agree with Mr. Shego Digbami. The scores Nigeria 2, Cameroon 1. That's the final result. Nigeria is good to go. Well, I hope this is what happens. Zicolo says, I think the mathematics of the legend on this isn't correct. Nigeria will win, but the game won't be easy. Let's see. I can't see a name here. It says Nigeria versus Cameroon. I predict a draw in regular time and a victory for Niger after penalties. Novak busted. I feel good. Guess age's catching up with him. Gilbert Musa says, I don't think Cameroon will be easy for us. The Eagles need to prepare well for this match. I wish them well. Another one says, it's coming from Sylvia. Sylvia from Lekki says, I'm just scared. Odegbami should allow us to be scared in peace. TikTok will be on fire if Nigeria loses.
I think there's so many countries waiting for Nigeria. The Cameroonians will laugh at us. The Ghanaians will laugh at us. Ah, God. May our enemies not laugh at us on Saturday, Lord.
Amen. 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 Let's see. Tayo says Cote d'Ivoire is desperate. Let them come and hire me. It's not as if they will want to win the tournament in their current situation. All right. And Taj says, Tega, you didn't know Djokovic lost? He did like 5 minutes before the show started. Well, Tega was in the studio with me and we were talking sports, so we missed that. And let's see, Mohammed says, Tega, Djokovic is out. Okpeo, now small, him good day, retire like Roger and the Spanish guy. The new boys will gradually send him into retirement like he did those before them.
No, but it's only Yannick that seems to have the consistent. Well, Carlos Alcaraz has also beaten him this year, but that was a best of 3 sets. And he's beaten him in a best of 5, but it wasn't consistent. So let's see how it goes. Yes, let the young guys kick them out, all of them.
Oh, wow. All right. Can we move on to the next headline?
Yes, let's do that.
All right. Inaki Williams raced back from Africa to face Barcelona in the Copa del Rey and sent Athletic Bilbao into the semi-finals by scoring a crucial goal in their 4-2 extra time triumph on Wednesday.
I would say this is money well spent. This one actually, the private jet worked. So as soon as Ghana were out, Atletico Bilbao did not waste time. Athletic Bilbao sent a private jet to bring their player, because they wanted him to play against Barcelona by force, by fire. Now, you have to remember, Inaki Williams was the guy that gave away a goal against Egypt. You know, he made a horrible back pass. Egypt collected the ball and scored an equalizer. That was Inaki Williams. He couldn't score a goal for them to help them to qualify. But as soon as Ghana crashed out, Bilbao sent their plane. Come, my player, come back. You're going to play against Barcelona today. And he rewarded them by scoring an extra time goal that sent daggers through the hearts of the Barcelona fans. So I would say this. So, I mean, it started up a conversation in Ghana. Some people were talking about, you want to compare Ghana with Bilbao, that see the football we're playing, look at how Bilbao was passing the ball, all of that drama, but that's their fight. Ultimately, that's a Ghanaian fight. The bottom line is he may not be great with his country, but he's apparently fantastic for his club sides and he's delivering. But what that means for Xavi Hernandez is that he's really now working on thin ice, because already there have been rumors about players not liking him in the dressing room, and now he's not getting the results on the pitch. Remember what a horrible display he had at the Super Cup finals Super Cup final in Saudi, and then he's 8 points behind Girona in the La Liga. Now he's crashed out of Copa del Rey in the quarters, because this is the semis they've qualified for. So it's not looking good for Xavi Hernandez. And this weekend he plays against a Villarreal side that, they are 14th on the table, but they are tricky in the sense that they are the kind of team that you could lose to on a good day. So it's not good times for Xavi Hernandez. And that sack email is just looking like it's getting closer and closer.
Oh, wow. All right, let's go on to the next one. Manchester City striker Erling Haaland will miss their FA Cup fourth round game with Tottenham, but he is close to return to action, and this is according to manager Pep Guardiola.
So today, Manchester City take on Tottenham, and again, Erling Haaland will be missing. The thing is that also Tottenham will also be missing a star player in Son, who is at the Asian Cup, and his team just managed to scrape a qualifier into the next round. Just managed, so not very good. I'm sure the Spurs fans were praying that South Korea will crash out, and then South Koreans were praying that they will make it through. Somehow, somebody's prayers got answered. But yes, they'll be missing their own star man. Manchester City will be missing one of their star men. And I think that's what makes the difference. The quality for Manchester City all over the pitch, very different from the quality of Tottenham Hotspur. But if the Spurs play like a team, which they've known how to do, be compact in defense and then break together as a team to get goals up top, it may turn out to be a good game. For the neutrals, this is definitely going to be a good game. But for Manchester City, it's not a walk in the park. They're going to have to work for a win today against Spurs.
All right, Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp says that it's far too early in the season to talk about another quadruple bid by his side after
I can guarantee
the League Cup final.
I can guarantee it's on his mind. They always say this thing like they're trying to keep their feet on the ground, but Liverpool are top of the Premier League table. They're still in the UEFA Champions League. In the great form that they are in, they're still in the FA Cup, and now they're playing the final of the League Cup, of the Carabao Cup, against Chelsea. And if you look at the form of the team, Liverpool is, of course, in a more consistent, better form than Chelsea is. So I think most people will be tipping them to win that final against Chelsea that's taking place in February. So, of course, the quadruple talk is going to be largely spoken about because they look in great form right now. And regardless of Mo Salah, the fact that Mo Salah is not around, they are still scoring goals aplenty. So, of course, people are going to be talking about it. And I'm sure their players will be thinking about it. They may not voice it out so that they don't jinx it, but it will be somewhere in the back of their mind. So, of course, somebody was going to ask him about quadruple plans, and it's something he should answer. But this is not the first time they've had quadruple plans, and it was scuppered. So I'm guessing that's why he's trying to leave his feet on the ground.
All right, UEFA's chief of football's Vladimir Boban says he's leaving European soccer's governing body in protest against President Alexander Ceferin's move to support changes in the statutes that would allow him to extend his term in office.
Okay, so I touched on this at the beginning of the show, how Ceferin wants to stay. Ceferin has already served, this is going to be the end of his third term of 4 years. So he's already served 12 years. Now, the statutes that were written, you can't serve more than 4 years or you can't serve more than 3 terms of 4 years. And according to the gist, it was Ceferin that made this rule earlier on when he was trying to garner favor from people. He was like, okay, no president should serve longer than this. He was one of those that pushed for these statutes to be signed, only for it to be his turn now. Oh yeah, Oga, come and hand over. He wants to stay there. Tomorrow, it's just terrible how power just easily corrupts people. All of a sudden now, he feels like he's the only person that can run UEFA and run it well. Oga, come and resign. And so Boban has resigned in protest. So he's trying to draw attention to it because you know how it is when a president is in power, not everybody around him wants to offend. So Boban, former footballer, played at the highest level, played for AC Milan. He's like, we are going to draw attention to it. You must resign. So I think this is the first act of resignation, but we're going to see more rebellion coming soon.
All right, we're almost out of time, but we've got a few messages. AY from Oniru says, those two Williams brothers were just determined to destroy Barca in the Copa del Rey quarterfinals. Tayo said, Onana used private jet to come and warm bench, but Inaki Williams used his own to help his club qualify. The difference is clear on how to use private jets. Chimobi Victor says, Odegbami is giving some Nigerians false hope because Nigeria will surely find it difficult to go through as the game will be decided via penalty, while for Inaki Williams' goal might put an end to Xavi Hernandez as the head coach. He's not a good coach. On YouTube, Charles Chidoze says, have Renard actually won his second AFCON with Ivory Coast? And Maiwa says it may go to penalties. Nigeria hasn't been scoring. Tega, I just saw something very interesting. Have Renard is sort of engaged to Bruno Metsu's widow. Did you know that?
Oh, wow. I did not know that too.
Wow, I'm stunned.
I didn't know that too.
Yeah. All
Jeez.
right.
I will let people know what I find out when I go to this Cote d'Ivoire again. Okay, all
All
right.
right.
So now
Yamasukuro
I'm getting new
Abidjan.
weapons.
All right. Well, thanks for listening. Tega, do you want to do the honors?
Oh, yes. So thank you for sending your messages, and thank you for sending those that send their e-wallets. You're going to be getting your money today. Those that are waiting to send, I don't know what you're waiting for. Send it so you have a great Friday. So thank you for tuning in to the locker room, and hopefully we'll be able to do this again on Monday, where we'll know all the champions in Australia and well, if Nigeria survived Cameroon. On that note, aspire to Maguire.
All right. Stay with us. Lagos Talk starts from 9 o'clock. Amas, what are you doing here?
See, I don't make plans though. We had it.
No, we're down.
Because
Oh, we're still streaming. Oh my days.